When Bob Dylan was once asked why he felt the need to change his name, his answer revealed everything about how he saw himself. He believed identity wasn't fixed. It was something hidden, even from the people closest to you. To move forward, sometimes you had to start over entirely. That philosophy followed Dylan through his entire life. He never belonged to a movement, a genre, or an audience. He reshaped his voice, his image, and his sound again and again, escaping labels while others clung to them. But beneath the constant reinvention lived a sharp judgment about music itself. Dylan admired very few artists. He trusted even fewer. To him, music was truth, and truth was often uncomfortable. Over the decades, through interviews, offhand remarks, and lines buried inside lyrics, Dylan hinted at bands he believed crossed a line, bands he felt had exchanged danger for approval. These are the 6 bands Bob Dylan quietly rejected, and what his criticism reveals about the thin line between art and imitation. Number 1, the Eagles. To Bob Dylan, the Eagles represented the moment rock music stopped being dangerous. He once pointed out that when you listen to an Eagles record, you can predict every note before it arrives. Nothing surprises you. Everything unfolds exactly as expected. Their sound was smooth, calculated, and perfectly engineered for radio, the opposite of everything Dylan believed music should be. To him, rebellion had been softened into comfort. Rock music, once fueled by risk, had become background scenery. What used to challenge listeners now reassured them. By the late 1970s, Dylan watched as authenticity slowly transformed into a style choice. Rebellion was no longer lived. It was rehearsed until it sold well. The Eagles dominated the airwaves with songs about freedom, escape, and open skies. But Dylan heard no danger in them. He heard Polish without consequence, risk without cost. He wasn't angry at the band themselves. He was mourning what they symbolized. The art form he loved had traded uncertainty for ease. Their harmonies erased the ache that gave music its humanity. He heard perfection, but no pursuit. Years later, Dylan summed it up quietly. Rehearse a song long enough, and you can remove its truth. To him, the Eagles weren't villains. They were proof of a culture growing afraid of imperfection. Number 2, the Monkees. The Monkees represented something Dylan distrusted deeply: imitation dressed up as inspiration. They were designed for television, a band created to look like a revolution rather than live one. While audiences saw charm and humor, Dylan saw artifice. To him, music wasn't just sound. It was experience, struggle, and consequence. The Monkees were carefully constructed to appear spontaneous. Every joke, every riff, every smile was planned. Rebellion without risk. The public loved it, which only sharpened Dylan's disappointment. He saw a culture eager to buy the image of freedom without paying its price. His frustration wasn't jealousy, it was grief. He came from a world of smoky rooms and fragile performances, where songs were confessions, not choreography. Watching rebellion become routine felt like watching something sacred lose its weight. Dylan once hinted that you can't fake a heartbeat, no matter how hard you try. To him, the Monkees weren't the problem. They were a symptom of a world choosing safety over sincerity. Number 3. U2. Dylan respected ambition, but he distrusted certainty. That's where U2 lost him. Their music reached massive heights, but to Dylan, their presence felt staged. Every raised fist, every speech, every emotional swell struck him as performance rather than discovery. He believed great art should question itself. U2, in his eyes, already had the answers. Their stadium anthems turned emotion into architecture. What troubled Dylan wasn't the sound. It was the confidence. Every chorus felt like a conclusion instead of a confession. During the famous benefit concert they shared, the contrast became obvious. Bono approached music as a mission. Dylan saw it as a mystery. To Dylan, U2 used light like a weapon, not a language. Faith choreographed for applause. Still, there was buried respect. Dylan admired their willingness to care publicly, something he never trusted himself to do. He once remarked that if you can hear yourself preaching, the song is already lost. To him, you two weren't false, just too certain. Number 4. The Rolling Stones. Dylan respected the Rolling Stones' survival, but he questioned their evolution. To him, they became trapped by their own image, forever chasing the youth they once embodied. What began as rebellion hardened into routine. He shared stages, drinks, and history with them. The respect was real. But so was the doubt. Dylan saw what happens when art turns into costume, when survival outpaces sincerity. By the late 1970s, their danger felt rehearsed. Chaos had become nostalgia. They still sold rebellion, but it was rebellion on repeat. Dylan never denied their talent. He believed they had simply become fluent in their own mythology. Rock, to him, was supposed to burn, not decorate. He admired Mick Jagger's command of a crowd, but pitied it too. The Stones could fill stadiums, yet never escape themselves. They became what they once mocked. To Dylan, they were proof that even revolution can grow comfortable. Number 5. The Byrds. Bob Dylan's songs gave the birds their wings, but he never loved how they flew. When Mr. Tambourine Man hit the radio, it soared in a way Dylan's own voice never could. The song became an anthem, but to Dylan, something essential had been lost. He wrote it as a fever dream, fragile, wandering, uncertain. The Byrds made it clean, perfect, polite. He didn't hate them. He feared what their success represented. They took the detours out of the journey. Folk music became formula. Beauty forgot its bruises. Ironically, Dylan respected their musicianship deeply. Roger McGuinn's Rickenbacker sound was groundbreaking, but he also knew how easily it could be copied by bands chasing the look of freedom without its weight. The Byrds were both pioneers and templates. Years later, Dylan summed it up simply. They flew too straight. Number 6. Nirvana. By the time Nirvana exploded, Dylan saw both truth and tragedy in their sound. He recognized the ache immediately. Kurt Cobain's voice carried something real, something fragile, but Dylan distrusted the machinery surrounding it. To him, Nirvana's pain was sacred until it was packaged. He had lived that cycle before, protest turning into product, meaning becoming merchandise. Watching it happen again filled him with quiet recognition. He believed Cobain sang like someone who already knew how it would end. When Cobain died, Dylan said nothing publicly, but those close to him said he went silent. He understood what happens when authenticity collapses under expectation. Later, Dylan remarked that they were right. The world just wasn't ready. To him, Nirvana was both warning and echo, proof that even truth can suffocate under applause. What Dylan's criticism really meant. Bob Dylan's distrust was never cruelty. It was devotion. Every band he criticized shared one flaw in his eyes. They confused sound with substance, performance with prayer. Through them, Dylan defined what he refused to become. Across decades, he watched imitation eclipse invention and spectacle drown sincerity. So he kept moving, changing, escaping himself before the world could trap him. In the end, Dylan's legacy isn't bitterness, it's vigilance, a relentless defense of authenticity in a world eager to smooth it away. Which band surprised you the most on this list? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Legends Uncovered for more untold stories from the soul of music.